Annette Funicello made an entire nation believe that childhood could be preserved forever, simply through a gentle smile, a perfectly timed dance step, and a pair of innocent eyes that helped adults forget their worries. On screen, she was America's sweetheart, the flawless Disney girl so ideal that people wanted to place her in their living rooms as a symbol of post-war safety and reassurance. Yet few understood that the purity they adored became the mold that locked her life in place. When a nation loves you for being good, you are punished for becoming human. Annette grew up under unspoken rules. Be gentle, be proper, never disappoint. Once those rules became expected, silence was no longer a choice. It became a reflex. This is the story of a woman who never rebelled loudly, but whose quiet obedience cost her the freedom to be anything but perfect. Childhood, a life built on harmony. Before Annette became an icon, she was simply a child, shaped by a culture that valued restraint over expression. Born in 1942 in Utica, New York, she moved to Southern California at age 4, part of a post-war working-class family seeking stability, not fame. Her father ran an auto repair shop, her mother kept the household, and the family lived by a silent rule: never inconvenience others. In the Italian-American community where Annette grew up, harmony mattered more than individuality. She learned early to step back, to let others lead, to smile instead of speak. Dance and music entered her life not as passion, but as training in proper behavior. Straight posture, controlled movement, disciplined expression. When she didn't know what to say, she smiled. When nervous, she stayed silent. Over time, art became a method of folding herself inward. The discovery. A dream that wasn't a dream. At age 12, Annette performed in Swan Lake at the Starlight Bowl in Burbank. She didn't feel destiny, only the familiar pressure to perform correctly. When Walt Disney watched her and asked to meet her afterward, Annette's first reaction wasn't excitement but restraint. Being noticed meant being even more careful. Soon, she auditioned for the Mickey Mouse Club with over 200 other children, all trained to follow instructions and expect nothing. When her name was called last, she didn't cheer or cry. She simply accepted the moment as another role to fill. The contract arrived, binding her for 7 years. It offered a salary, yes, but also a lifetime of responsibility. Annette's success was not born from ambition, but from her ability to remain calm and composed under pressure. The rise. When innocence became a brand. By late 1955, the Mickey Mouse Club began airing, and Annette appeared in dance numbers and skits. She was never positioned as the star, but audiences began to notice her anyway. Fan mail skyrocketed, reaching thousands of letters a month addressed specifically to her. Disney didn't celebrate her, because celebration would require change. Instead, they increased her workload and made her presence more fixed. She became the quiet center of the show, the stable element viewers could rely on. When the Mickey Mouse Club ended in 1958, Annette cried more than ever before. But the end of the show didn't mean the end of the work. She remained at Disney, moved from the soundstage to the recording studio, and her childhood continued in a new form. Songs, promotions, tours, an endless schedule. The lawsuit, a quiet rebellion that failed. In 1959, Annette attempted to break free, not through drama, but through the law. She filed a lawsuit to void her 7-year Disney contract, arguing she signed it as a minor with no legal representation. It was a calculated attempt to create space for herself. The court rejected her request. Disney's control remained intact, reinforced by legal authority. There was no retaliation, no public punishment, only the silent message that her only option was obedience. Annette returned to work as if nothing had happened, continuing to record songs and appear on television. The lawsuit didn't make her famous. It made her trapped. It revealed the cruel truth of her life. Even the law couldn't free her from the role she was forced to play. Music and film. The same face in a different frame. In the early 1960s, Annette became a teen pop sensation. Songs like Tall Paul and Pineapple Princess climbed the charts, making her a household name beyond the Mickey Mouse Club. Yet her image remained the same: sweet, innocent, safe. Disney positioned her in family films to maintain that axis of reassurance. When she later moved into AIP's beach films, she did not reinvent herself. Instead, she became a stabilizing presence in a chaotic world. The movies were loud, fast, and exaggerated, but Annette stayed soft and measured. The camera returned to her whenever the film's energy threatened to explode, as if her presence alone could keep the story from spinning out of control. Her success wasn't built on transformation. It was built on remaining unchanged. The beach films, the perfect image. Under pressure. Beach Party became a phenomenon, earning millions on a modest budget. Sequels followed, each one louder, more provocative, and more daring. Yet Annette remained the same. She kept her gestures restrained, her tone gentle, her expression calm. The studio pushed the formula, wanting more excitement, more sensuality. Disney still expected Annette to remain pure. Two systems operated in parallel: AIP's desire for youth-driven energy and Disney's demand for innocence. The contradiction appeared on screen, especially in Bikini Beach, where camera angles revealed more than her wardrobe intended. Annette said nothing. She didn't fight. She didn't protest. She continued to show up, perform, and keep the world from noticing the conflict she lived inside. The shift, when the spotlight moves on. As the beach movie cycle faded, so did Annette's career. She didn't announce retirement. She simply stopped receiving leading roles. Her last major film, Thunder Alley, offered a more serious tone, as if she were closing her career with dignity. But the public no longer saw her as a young star. She became a memory. Sporadic television appearances followed, brief and quiet, not meant to revive her career, but to maintain a connection. By the late 1970s, she appeared in Skippy commercials, portraying a middle-class mother, a role far removed from the girl who once symbolized post-war innocence. The transformation wasn't dramatic. It was gentle. She stepped back, and the world kept moving without her. Marriage and family, the quiet center of her life. In 1965, Annette married Jack Gilardi, an actor and producer. She remained in the public eye, but her focus shifted. She had 3 children and began to place family at the center of her life. This wasn't a public withdrawal, it was a personal choice. She didn't dramatize motherhood or turn it into a narrative of sacrifice. She simply narrowed her scope and let professional opportunities pass. Her life became a quieter rhythm, still shaped by discipline and restraint. Yet the silence that kept her career stable also prevented her from expressing the growing tension within her. The marriage ended quietly in 1981. No scandal, no accusations, no public breakdown. Just another silent shift in a life built on keeping the world calm. The second marriage, a life outside the spotlight. In 1986, Annette married Glenn Holt, a man outside the entertainment industry. This relationship wasn't glamorous or public. It was ordinary, and that was its appeal. For the first time, Annette felt she could exist without maintaining an image. Yet even in private, she remained the same: polite, restrained, always careful not to disrupt harmony. In 1987, she agreed to appear in Back to the Beach, a nostalgic reunion that seemed harmless. But during filming, she noticed something wrong: fatigue, imbalance, numbness. She said nothing. She kept working. She returned home and continued living as she always had, adjusting her life silently to the changes her body began to demand. The diagnosis: when silence is no longer safe. As the years passed, Annette's symptoms grew stronger. She appeared less often, and rumors began to spread. Hollywood speculated. Alcohol, decline, the old star who couldn't handle life. But Annette refused to respond. She didn't correct the record. She didn't offer explanations. Her silence, once a virtue, was now interpreted as weakness. Finally, in 1992, she spoke for the first time in decades. She revealed that she had multiple sclerosis. She didn't dramatize it. She didn't fight it publicly. She simply placed the truth where it belonged. The rumors dissolved. The stories stopped. For the first time, Annette controlled the narrative about her life. The final years: dignity in quiet decline. After her diagnosis, Annette withdrew further from public life. She did not seek attention or sympathy. She continued to support MS research quietly and received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 1993, but her body continued to decline. By the mid-2000s, she could no longer walk. By the late 2000s, she lost her ability to speak. Communication became small gestures, eye contact, the slightest squeeze of a hand. In 2011, her home was damaged by a fire, forcing her family to rebuild a life that had already been carefully structured around her limitations. The disruption was not a tragedy in the dramatic sense. It was simply another challenge in a life defined by quiet endurance. Outro: the legacy of a woman who never needed to explain herself. Annette Funicello passed away in 2013 at age 70. Her death did not occur on camera, nor was it turned into a public spectacle. It was quiet, private, and fitting for a life lived outside the need to be witnessed. When the news broke, the public reaction was not shock or scandal. It was a settling silence, as if people recognized she had already stepped out of the spotlight long ago. She is remembered not for dramatic reinvention or public battles, but for her dignity, maintained through decades of silence, restraint, and quiet perseverance. Annette didn't leave behind a final image that needed protection. She left behind a consistent choice: to remain herself, even when the world demanded she change. And perhaps that is the truest legacy of America's sweetheart.